Yo, people, what up? It's your boy Motivational Mike. You listen to the Motivational Inspiration Station. That's DGTV. And it's Saturday the 27th, 2016. And I got my main man, my brother, my friend, Ernest Joseph. It's going down, man. Only on the number one station. How you feel, Ernest? What's up, man?
Motivational Mike was good. See you drop that little Lauryn Hill drop. I love that track right there. Yeah, it's all good. How you doing today? Saturday. How you doing, man?
Hey, man. Another day, man. How you feel?
Pretty good. Always good, man. Always blessed, man. Always positive, man. Always keeping my mind positive, man. So, you know me. You know how I roll. You know how we roll, Mike.
Hey, man, it's finally good to get you on the podcast, man. We've been talking about it. We've been sharing. We always dialoguing, man. We have good conversations. And I had a chance to have your friend on the podcast, a good friend of both of ours. Artist Brown, man. He definitely went in. But this is our chance to go live and tell the people what we rocking with, man. So it's definitely an honor, man. Let the people know who you are, bro. Go ahead.
My name is Ernest Joseph EJ. Right now, currently, my career, I teach. I work in the special education field, and I coach as well. 3 sports: football, basketball, and track. And I also train kids on the side, individually specific. A lot of cross training, a lot of different things, and dibble and dabble in entertainment a little bit. But right now, really, are just focused on the education part and being a coach right now.
Hey guys, I had the opportunity. EJ had the opportunity of coaching a middle school team. He was my first pick, and we went in. We had a good. We had some challenges, but we had some good season.
Had some real challenges.
We had some challenges, but we came back. And I tell
challenges. Oh yeah.
I often tell people, if you love it, even if you challenge, if you love it, you'll definitely come back to it. But we want to change gears a little bit. What we here for? Ernest been from a great state of Florida. He's been around a lot of sports, like he said, basketball, football. He's a Miami Heat fan. Even though LeBron left, he's still a dog.
Wait. Before you drop the Miami, I got to give it up to my people.
No doubt.
I got to give some good plug to my Haitian community. I am Haitian, and I love my blood and my roots, and I just want to give my people a shout out. And I want to keep more positive vibes in the air with that flag and what we do and what we stand for, because I see a lot of negativity, and I'm here to change it around a little bit. So,
most definitely, man. That's a good shout out. So shout out to Haiti, and we love them out there. A lot of stuff is going on, but we know it's going to get better. So like I said, man, we talking about sports, and one thing we want to hit home. Both of us been athletes, like I said, knowing about all types of sports, basketball, football. You've been around a lot of times. We have ran into a lot of athletes, you being in middle school, me being in middle school, that their motivation or their dream, especially for the African American community, is to go pro. That's all they talk about. When I'm gonna do this for my mom, do this for my dad, and go pro. Us being on the other side, we have seen good effects of it. We have seen the negative effects of it. So that's what we want to just hit home about the post depression, when it doesn't work out how you plan. Maybe you want to go D1 and it doesn't work out. You have to change your plan. So Ernest, go ahead and just kind of break it down to what we're going to be talking about today, man. Go ahead and break it down.
Yeah, just like you said, post-sports depression is basically, the identity crisis of a sports athlete, whether it's after high school, college, or even if you go professional, being able to switch gears and transition to another career. And a lot of people struggle with that identity crisis, especially as an athlete, because of many reasons, because it's really tough to transition after you are the man. And even if you're not the man, but being on the team and being awarded a scholarship, going to colleges and getting tons of perks. I mean, everything handed to you. And then the day after, just say, for instance, if you're a college athlete and then you graduate and there's no professional, you're not going pro. A lot of people struggle with the transition of going back to being a regular human being, and I think we need to change that. And I think people need to take value in who you are and not, take value of being called a football player or a basketball player, because what's your self-worth? Do you feel like you're worth just dribbling a ball or throwing a ball or hitting a ball or running fast? You know, whatever sport, you know, you have to take value in who you are, because I read a quote from a former NFL player. He said that you can retire from football, but you can't retire from life. And one thing that I always tell my students, I ask them, you know, like, what do you want to do with your life? And some of my kids say, I want to be a football player. And then again, I begin to question them, and I say, okay, so if you go to college, do you think your degree going to say football player? You know what I mean? So I think we in this community, we love sports. Yes, great thing. It's a great platform to, you know, prepare yourself to do other things as well, not just sports. But the whole thing is we devalue education. And me as a coach, I'm trying to bring it back. And shout out to my man, Brian Peterson. We work together. We have the same philosophy, and we're trying to steer kids in the right direction, because, you know, we were former athletes, and I didn't make it pro. He did, you know, so we had situations where we had to, you know, change our careers. And the whole thing with that is I tell kids, student before athlete. You know, you have to be a student first, you know, before you become an athlete. And I never say going pro should be, I say going pro should be plan B. Plan A should be your education. And whatever you want to study, and you need to master that craft, and you need to work just as hard as you work on the field or on the court or on the baseball diamond. You need to work just as hard in the classroom, because at the end of the day, 100% of the time, that career will be over. You cannot be an athlete until you're like 50 years old, unless you're a golfer or something. That might be the only, you know, sport that has an exception. But I tell kids, what are you going to do when your career is over? It might be after high school. It might be after college, or you might have a chance to make it pro. But what are you going to do next? You know, and I think that's a question that we need to start, you know, putting out there for kids and parents to see. And I challenge coaches and I challenge parents to start having that dialogue. Like, instead of, you know, emphasizing, you know, okay, my kid is going pro here. What's next? What's after that? You can't be an athlete, a pro athlete, until you're 50 years old, or for it's not like the normal career of being a doctor or being a lawyer, to where you can sustain that. Your body has an expiration date. Believe it or not, your body has an expiration date. You can't beat it up forever. So what are you going to do? What do you have in between your ears? That's what I tell my kids.
Yeah, and that's a good point, man. And we're not knocking the dream of people going to the NFL or the NBA. We're just trying to help the people understand that everybody's not going to make it. So we're just trying to get that disclaimer that, oh, I'm going to the NFL, the NBA. Like, we're not knocking the dream, but we understand us being college athletes, us being high school athletes, we understand the work ethic. Yes. And if you don't have it, then it's not going to be possible. We hear it, but we often hear people say, well, I'm going to do this, but what have you been doing that nobody has been watching you? And people don't understand that if you ain't working, you ain't going. Like, so, and people fall into depression after the fact when they say, well, I had the dream or had this opportunity of going pro, paying off all my mama's bills or daddy bills, or taking care of the family, because it now has become a weight, because they're so talented and so gifted. And everybody, in their eyes, they see money, they see cash flow. And then when that person gets injured, they go into post-sports depression. So we're trying to help them find another avenue. And EJ, you had some statistics about this. So go ahead and share them, man. You got a chance.
Like I said, this is not to deter anybody from, you know, shooting high for your dreams or whatever. But I have a statistic. It says you have 12 and 1 odds of, you know, playing football in college, and going Division I is 40. The odds increase from 41 to 1 odds, and going pro is 603 out of 1. That breaks down to like not even 1%. And I don't even want to go. I don't even want to go into basketball. That's just like,
oh yeah, I can get in a basketball stand right now. You want me to give it to him?
Pull it up, because people need to hear it, man. And we need to be realistic. with our goals and our expectation for our kids, we have to lead them in the right direction, you know.
And we found these statistics. It's on scholarshipstats.com, and it says the chance of high school athlete competing in college basketball. You got 5,000. You got 541,000. These are just high school athletes, and then the number drops. You got numbers of college basketball players are going to college. It has 32,000. So you went from 500 to 41,000 to 32,000. And what are those other half players? What are they going to do? They fall into a state of depression, and they go back home, and they get devalued from other people telling them that they didn't make it. And then that's when they fall into the point of having no other option. That's where we get the people that's selling weed and going back to, because they have no other options, and their whole plan was to make $1 million or get this fat contract. So we're just trying to let people know. And the high school player competing in college, 5.9%. So where's the other half? 95% of that? And somewhere needing to find a job. So that's what we're trying to do, man. Help the people out.
Yeah, and it's all about just really getting information out there, because the hardest thing to do when you were the man, the hardest thing to do is to go back. Just say, for instance, you left your city and you went to a big time college and it don't work out. The hardest thing to do is come back and be regular. After everybody was screaming your name, posters and everything, the hardest thing to do is to adapt to being a regular human being. That's a challenge, you know what I mean? And it's something we need to talk about. I feel like we need to get the dialogue going, which is, with these stats that we pull up, people, have been doing research on this, but I just think we need to get it out there more. And I just feel like, why do people feel like sports is the only way out? Why do we devalue education? Especially in our community. I don't understand that. It helps to be educated, and that platform of being an athlete, like, saying that you didn't have a chance to get a scholarship before, now you got a scholarship, what are you going to do with it? And then pushing kids to be like, okay, you're going to be pro, Like I said, that in my eyes, I don't want to push my opinion on everybody. It needs to be a plan B, because it will end. That's guaranteed. Like, it will end. Every major figure that you love, from the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James, or the Cam Newton, it's going to have an endpoint. It's going to have an endpoint. You know what I mean? And, people might not know Michael Jordan for not being that guy in the Black community, but he's an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? He had life after basketball. And these successful stories are things that we need to talk about, guys who make better decisions and stuff like that. We need to talk about this, or even guys that don't make the great decisions. We need to the dialogue going to kind of help these guys to find themselves, because I call it identity crisis, because when you get wrapped up in that bubble, like, I am a football player, that's all you're worth. As a human being, that's all you have to offer is playing the sport. You're worth more than that. Telling everybody has hidden talents. Everybody has something else to offer the world outside of being a sports athlete. It's just a game. At the end of the day, if we want to break it down, it's big business, but it's just a game. So as a human being, you think that's all you worth? That's all you was put on this earth for, was to play a game? It's nothing else. You don't have nothing else to offer the world. Come on now, you got to wake up. It's more than that.
You gotta wake up, man. You gotta discover greatness.
Discover greatness. Discover the greatness inside you, and understand that same effort and that same work ethic that you took to be an athlete, you can take that same energy and put it into pouring into something else, a new career, and be just as successful. Because it's hard to be an athlete. You break down those numbers of guys that get scholarships. You're phenomenal. If you break it down, everybody don't earn a scholarship to play at the next level. So if you did that, is nothing on this planet that you cannot do. Maybe but fly. Don't jump off any buildings. You ain't gonna know. Don't do that.
You gotta pay.
But you can't excel at other things. You know what I'm saying? So
and most of the guys, and we're trying to help you, because like me and EJ, we're in the school system and we see it. We see these talented athletes, and to be honest, when we were there, like I just to get emphasis about middle school. When we was at the middle school, we had these good athletes, but we was passing the stage of the athletic mind. We went to their hearts and say, look, What else are you doing? How are you doing in the classroom? What's your grades? Are you staying out of trouble? And I mean, not to knock anybody, but once we left once we left this setting, we would try to keep up with them. But once we got out of this setting, we heard about so many kids failing and stopped playing because most time they didn't have a father, they didn't have anybody to look up to. We were their fathers, we were their coach. They listened to us, they respected us, and when you leave that setting or that atmosphere, stuff changed. Knowing that you was a big effect on it may be 30 kids, but 2 athletes, and it always you contact these players and say, "What's going on, man? How you doing?" Now they're like, "Well, I stopped playing football. My grades dropped." And he's like, "Man, if we could have stuck around, but we have other opportunities and stuff happens." But I often tell people you got to take advantage of those opportunities and the lifetime of the opportunity, because you never know. That kid could have been that NFL player, that NBA player, but it's all about the life when he go home. What is he going through when he's going home? Who's talking to him? What is he seeing in his house? And most time those boys are growing up they're growing up on their own. They feed themselves. They take care of their mom. They take care of their sister and brother, and they have nothing to look onto. So we're trying to help a parent, maybe a mom, that they hear their son talk about they're going to do this, but you have to ask that person, what is your knowledge? And I think like Eric Thomas said it, knowledge is the new money. What do you know? And we say it all the time. People they don't want to learn, they just want to do. So we're just trying to give you some statistics, and it's another website. It's called EliteDaily.com, and it breaks down the football male athlete 40-1 going to college. 1 in 1,000 high school players will be drafted. 1 in 325 college players will be drafted. So you break that down. It's only 300 spots in the NFL draft. Where's the other 2,000 going? So it's hectic, man. And I think it's just so crucial that it's okay if you want to be a teacher and go into coaching. That's what me and E did. We love coaching. We love kids. And if you don't have a passion to go in education, we recommend that you don't, because it is a challenge. But at the end of the day, you will get a reward for it if you love it. And EJ, go ahead and chime in on that about education, the importance of Black, young, successful Black African Americans in the school system, man, and what it does. Us just being there. We just go ahead and chime on that, man.
Just the presence of a male in its own, let alone a Black male. And you just think about, being a kid, and then you look like us, and then you don't see anybody that look like you, and it's just like, okay, these kids, they're kind of in a sense lost if they're already fatherless. They're at home, they don't see men. If they go to school, they don't see men. Who do they have to look up to? And that's where you get the guys on the television, these athletes or these musicians or whoever a kid choose to idolize, because they don't see it at home. You know what I'm saying? They don't see it in the classroom. So if they see more people that look like us in the classroom, that might, push them to do other things that's greater than what they thought that they could do. Because the whole thing is about planting that seed of hope, planting that seed that you can, planting that seed that you're not just a football player. You're a student, and you can excel at that as well. It's just planting that seed and giving that kid hope, something that he might not hear at home or anywhere else, that he hear it from you, because we've been in their position, So I challenge people to, do things that similar. You don't have to teach, you don't have to work in education, but just in your community, are you a role model? Are you standing up and telling kids and steering them in the right direction instead of walking away and not saying anything and just letting them lead to a path of destruction because they don't know any better? They're kids. Think about when you're kids, you just want to do stuff. You have no direction. You don't know anything. It takes adults, and it was people in my life who impacted me. And this is the reason why I do what I do, because I had coaches. Coach Ponce, it's at Appalachian State right now, one of my favorite coaches. Coach Emerson Martin, one of my favorite coaches in college, who basically mentored me to be the man that I am right now, or Coach Heidelberg in high school, because he was a teacher. And never did I think one day that I would be a teacher as well. But I watched these guys and model them because they were there for me, and I feel like, we need to step up to the plate. And if you really want to fix the community, that's the step it takes. You have to get out there and talk to these kids and plant that seed of hope and let them know you're more than just an athlete. You're more than just what you think right now. You're capable of doing anything you put your mind to if you work at it. And just like you become a star in football, that takes hard work. Like, believe it or not, people think, people are anointed, like Cam Newton was anointed, or whoever was anointed, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Those guys work. Steph Curry, they work. Don't get it twisted, because you don't see the in between. You don't see the workouts. You don't see how hard these guys work. So you think, oh, God-given talent. I'm sorry. Yeah, you might be born with a certain stature, but it's not God-given when you work for it. You know what I'm saying? God put certain things in you, but you have to work for it, and those guys work for it. And like I said, the same effort, when you transfer that energy into anything else, if you think about what an athlete do day in and day out as far as workouts, and you put that into a new career or a new craft, oh my God, there's no way you won't be successful. No way.
And speaking of Cam Newton and Steph Curry, people don't even know his story. Cam Newton was at Florida at first. He messed up. He went back home. They devalued him. It's in his documentary. They devalued him. He heard so many computer jokes. He went to a unknown school, junior college, played 1 year, went undefeated, and then went right back to Auburn. And then he was like, he enjoyed that. Stephen Curry wasn't highly drafted, but he worked. He consistently worked at it. Went to a college in Davidson, and then he's like one of the #1 players in the NBA. So it's possible. Anything is possible. Like, we're not deterring people from their dream. But we saying, man, you got to put in a lot of work. What are you doing when nobody is watching you?
Exactly.
That's how you discover greatness. When you do small things in great ways. When you go to the gym when nobody's watching you. When you out there shooting the ball. When you're out there running the routes. When you just doing stuff by yourself. That's when greatness flourishes. So I think it's critical, man. You said so many great things. And I went to this website. It says from the locker room to the boardroom, 10 perfect jobs for former athletes.
There we go.
I'm gonna help you out.
Give it to them.
You could be a financial advisor. You could be a sales representative. You could be an executive recruiter. If you didn't make it in the NFL, you can go recruit for people. You can help. I got a great friend of mine in high school. He's now one of the trainers in the NFL. He's a trainer for the NFL. So you can do that. You can be a manager. You can be an analyst for sport. You can be a sports analyst. I got great friends that's doing that. You got a market. You can be a market manager, a franchise owner, a project manager. You can be a teacher. It says that number 9. You can be a teacher. You can also be a physical therapist. You can help those athletes and get better. Or athletic trainer. So if you want to stay in sports and it doesn't work out when you're going pro, it's many job opportunities. And man, we got great friends that maybe they didn't go to the league, but they're playing. They're doing like arena football. They're doing stuff to stay active. Maybe if that's your dream to still do it, we're not knocking it. But if you're 40 and 50, there's no need for you to be trying out for the NFL draft or the NBA combine. You're not gonna make it, man. Go find a job. 9 to 5, man. You got to do it. We want people to be successful, but if you're not working, man, and you still trying to play NBA, man, I'm gonna need you to find another career, man. Stop playing.
Yeah. But I want to take it down lower, and I just want to keep it real. If you just think of the odds of these games, like especially football and basketball, that's a young man's game. Basketball, they draft guys as young as 18, 19, because guys 1 year in college, and then they take guys from overseas. So it's a young man's game. So the odds of being a 26 or 27-year-old getting drafted is like, let's be realistic. And just to touch upon what you said as far as the career, I have a quote from website. Yes, matter of fact, it was just ESPN.com.
Oh yeah, man.
It was a former athlete, and he said, when and these guys, this is after their career, and then sometimes you have to learn how to swallow your pride. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to do something, if you're that passionate about it. It says, when guys tell me they want to be on television, I'll ask if they're willing to broadcast a high school game for nothing, just to gain experience, Brooks said. He said, and their response said, no, I'm such and such. I tell them, when you're nobody in this game, you need to put much effort into this as you put into being a player. The same thing I said, if you take that effort, sometimes you have to swallow your pride. Yeah, I mean, as a real human being, you have to do other things. Sometimes you have to do things for free. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just to get yourself up on the totem pole. You know what I mean? You're not the star athlete. People are not screaming your name. They're not just gonna just give you anything. Now you have to work like the average person. You know, you can't expect handouts. You know, you have to swallow your pride and find a new passion and be able to take that step. Like, okay, if I go ahead and broadcast this high school game for free, I'm gaining experience. In the long run, it's a win-win situation. What are you losing? Experience. You put it on your resume. You know what I mean? Now you're building that resume instead of being prideful and being like, okay, I'm X, Y, and Z, and I used to, and that's the whole thing. Holding on to the past. Let the past go. Let it go. Let it go. Because it's nothing but a memory. It's nothing but a memory. You know what I mean? And people just have to come to grips with that, you know, that is just a memory. And what you did was great, but the whole thing is transitioning to something new. You know what I mean? If you were capable of being the man at any sport, you're capable of being successful at any career. So the whole thing of being a former athlete, whether it's high school or college or a professional, is using that platform to propel you to your next career, your next transition. So instead of thinking, okay, if you do make it pro, instead of thinking like, okay, I'm the man, okay, how am I going to use this platform to transition myself to the next career? Because it will end. I'm here to tell you, and I'm going to say it again, and I might say it 3 more times before we get off air. It will end. What are you going to do? How can you recreate yourself? You know,
it's all about recreation, man. It's a beginning and end to everything. And speaking of you, man, you were a big motivator to me when I used to do speeches to the kids, and he was like, man, you can do that as really like taking it to another level, man. So I had to find another avenue. It wasn't. I mean, I wasn't lucky enough to go to the NFL, but it was another avenue, and that's how Discover Greatness was flourished. Like you was like, man, you speaking to the kids like that. Imagine when you help people, because we often say you can't let anybody devalue who you are, man. Anything is possible if you believe it, and we took that and we wrote it with. And now you're a successful coach, a successful coach in basketball, now basketball and football. So it is possible to change that career. And shout out to Halawa Saponi Tribal School and Northern Vance High School, football on one side and then basketball on the other. So go ahead, E, shout your boys out, man.
Shout out to Holly Grove Middle School. You know, my guys, I've been there a couple of years, but I got 5. We done won 5 championships. Here in North Carolina, we have a little tournament with the divisions, and I think it's pretty cool because the kids get to compete at a higher level. And I've been blessed to win 5 championships, and we went through the hardships together. I learned from our first couple of years, and honestly, I used to tell you because used to motivate me. That's why I used to be like, Mike, man, you could do this, because the stuff you used to say, I used to be like, man, I'm ready to run through a wall. Like, gee, like the stuff that, so you motivated me, and then we took our hardships, and I'm happy that we kept going and learn, because our first year we didn't win any games. You know, we were in every game. We didn't win any game, and the next year we won 1 game. But that laid that foundation for me as a coach, and to learn from and to move forward, because we kept pushing, and we kept pushing kids to do greater things, not just with sports, but through education as well, you know, and that's why I want to challenge coaches and parents to do that as well. Value education just as much as you value sports. Value education more than you do sports, because it will end. Like I said, I'm gonna say it again. It will end. So let's start to steer.
Go ahead.
No, let's start to steer our youth in the right direction. What'd you say now?
I said education is changing too, man. And you said we got to steer it in the right direction, and it is education. I'm just saying we see it changing in the school system, and so it's just have to be another avenue, and we definitely have to be creative so we can gain kids' attention in the system.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, just steer them in the right direction. It's all about using that platform. And I have a shout out to Donald Sanat, you know, my little cousin, little brother, really, you know, but he did an excellent job, man. And why I'm shouting him out is he excelled in the classroom and on the field, you know, and he I don't know how to explain the story, because I actually want him on your show. I want him to explain his story. But he went to college, you know, got a scholarship, I mean, in football, and in 3 years graduated, and in 2 years got his master's. That's maximizing your platform big time. He set himself up to transition well after school, you know, and that's the stuff that I'm talking about, like value in education, because it's not going to last forever. But he had a choice. He had a choice to go pro or to start a new career. And not saying that everybody's going to make this decision. He decided to start a new career because he felt like he didn't want to beat his body up. And this is nothing wrong with having options. It feels great as an athlete after you graduate to have an option. Like, you know what? I can go to the NFL, but you know what? It's time for me to use this. What I have in my ears.
No doubt, man. And we dialogue a lot, man, EJ. And at first, I really want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. If people if they want to reach you, man, go ahead and shoot your stuff out, man. Where can they find you at, man?
Right now I've been kind of idle, but I do have my Instagram. You can check that out, ELJoseph78 on Instagram. You can follow me there. I'm on Twitter as well with the same handle. Everything is the same with me. It's either Ernest Joseph, Ernest EJ Joseph, or ELJoseph 78, and you can follow me. And I do various things, but I'm really, you know, big on being active in the community with kids and steering them in the right direction, man. Because like I told you before we got on air, man, it really disturbed me to see the images and scrolling down just former friends, their Facebook, and what they're doing and stuff like that. It hurts to see kids in community that's misled, kids waving around guns and this, that, and the third. I'm like, what are we doing as adults to steer these kids in the right direction and tell them, like, this is not life. You know, you can't devalue life. You can't glorify the negative. And it hurts to see that as adults, we just kind of let things happen and then complain about it after, you know, when kids are being killed and stuff like that. But I'm all about being proactive and not reactive. Those are the things that we talk about all the time, you know, being proactive and getting out there and talking to kids and steering them in the right direction and valuing education and stop valuing the negative and the guns and the killing people and devaluing life. We're human, and these kids don't know any better, and they're just killing each other or being killed, and then we want to react, you know, and when you react, it's too late. It's too late, you know. So yeah, man, you know, definitely happy you had me on DGTV and we talk about this. We could do this again. We could do this again and again and again and again, because people need to hear it, man. We need more positive vibes out there, man. I'm just tired of people just killing each other or going in depression, or, you know, you need to value yourself as a human being, man. You're worth so much more to everybody, you know, to your community, than just being a drug dealer or, you know, or even being, my thing that kills me is watching musicians, you know, talk about the drugs and the guns and waving these guns, and these kids are like 16 to 20 years old. What do they know? What do they know? Yeah. And why are we letting them do this? Why is this okay? Why is it cool?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like I said, I don't want to, told you before, I don't want to take this to a whole nother direction, but that was on my mind.
We'll keep talking. Yeah, I know that was on your heart, man. We talk about all the time, man. We talk about, we're not knocking the violence, but you're right, man. It sometimes it takes a lot for people to give themselves up or stop the violence campaigns and stuff like that. But then we have the people in the city, they just tear it up, and it was like that's not us. So we definitely come back and talk about that. And like I said, I thank you for being on the podcast, man. And we guys, you gotta understand, we talked before we even got on, so we was already hyped, we was already ready. It's another epic day, man. And like we said, we're gonna get some more people on. I would love to have your cousin on. He went to FIU, correct? FIU, Division I player. And he decided to go another route and still doing great things in his community. So I mean, out here, man, Discover Greatness TV. We're gonna keep this thing. We're gonna be consistent with the podcast. Like I said, I thank Ernest so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's the #1 station, the #1 motivational inspirational station. That's DGTV. Hey guys, you can now go to my website. This will be on my website on DCGreatness.com. It'll be on my podcast. We'll put it on Facebook. But you can now go to my website. go to the product page and you can donate. If you been enjoying the podcast, if you've been listening to videos, you can now make a donation to Discover Greatness TV to me, Motivational Mike, and help this thing keep moving. So go ahead and shout out everybody once again. EJ, who you want to shout out, man? Go ahead. Your family, mom, brothers.
One more thing before I get into the shout out, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna say it again. I challenge parents. I challenge coaches to give kids different platforms to get them to understand, like, this career will be over. What else do you want to do with yourself? And not overindulge yourself in one thing. Have your kids be well-rounded in different things, whether it's arts and craft or anything else. You know what I mean? Like, I challenge you to maximize that platform of being an athlete, to propel you to do other things. And for my shout outs, definitely want to shout out, my boy Mike DGTV. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Shout out to the people who keep me on my feet. My boy JT, my boy Ian, of course my dad. I love my dad, and my sister, Daphne, and my little cousin Donald. They inspire me to do great things. And all my kids, man, I love y'all, man, and I love what I do, and I want to continue to push you to do great things in your life, from my kids as far as my students to my players, and yeah, shout out Holly Grove, my man Coach Pete, man, my man Coach Ville. I love coaching with you guys. We have similar philosophies, and I love coaching with great guys that want kids to do the right thing. And that's hard to find, man. So I challenge you coaches, man, just do the right thing, man. Don't change grades. Teachers, don't change grades, man. Push these kids to do other things, man, and not just be an athlete. It's just a basketball. It's just a football. It's just a game. What are you going to do next? What's next?
What's next, man? Hey, hashtag Discover Greatness, hashtag Discover Greatness TV. It's your boy Motivational Mike, and you listen to the motivational, inspirational station. That's DGTV, with my special guest Ernest Joseph, man. Love you, bro. Talk to you soon, man.
All right, homie. Love you too, man.
No doubt. One.